Most people today are not truly living. They are reacting to notifications, reacting to bad news, reacting to opinions, reacting to fear. They wake up tired, they move through the day distracted, and they go to sleep with the same emptiness they started with. They call it stress. They call it being busy. They call it normal. But Marcus Aurelius would have called it something else. Weakness. Not weakness of muscle, weakness of mind, weakness of spirit, weakness of command over the self. Look around. People break over words. They collapse under pressure. They let one insult destroy their peace. One setback destroy their momentum. One rejection destroy their confidence. They are ruled by moods, ruled by cravings, ruled by the chaos of the external world. And then they wonder why they feel powerless. Here is the brutal truth. The world does not care about your excuses. It does not pause because you feel overwhelmed. It does not become softer because you are tired. Life keeps moving. The storm keeps coming. The pressure keeps building. So the question is not whether hardship will arrive. It will. The question is this: when it arrives, who will you be? Because Marcus Aurelius was not made in comfort. He ruled in the middle of war, plague, betrayal, political chaos, and the constant nearness of death. Yet he remained measured, calm, dangerous in the highest sense. Not because nothing touched his life, but because nothing conquered his inner world. And that is what this video is about. Not escaping pain, not pretending life is easy, not chasing hollow positivity. This is about becoming so disciplined, so clear, so rooted in Stoic strength that nothing external can own you. Today, you will learn 10 Stoic principles so powerful that if you practice them seriously, you will become difficult to provoke, difficult to break, and impossible to control. Before we begin, subscribe now, because this channel is not for passive listeners. It is for those who are ready to sharpen themselves. And in the comments write, "I control myself," not as a slogan, as a decision. Let's begin. A man without purpose is easy prey. He is distracted by every temptation. He is shaken by every setback. He changes direction every time the world pushes against him. Without purpose, life becomes a chain of reactions. One day he is inspired. The next day he is lost. One insult ruins him. One obstacle stops him. One failure convinces him to quit. That is not strength. That is drift. Marcus Aurelius knew that the inner life must have a center. He wrote, "Dig within. Within is the wellspring of good." That means your direction cannot come from trends, applause, money alone, or the approval of weak minds. It must come from something deeper. A code, a mission, a principle you are willing to stand on when the world turns against you. Purpose is forged when you ask the questions most people are too afraid to face. What do I stand for? What am I willing to endure? Who am I becoming through my choices? What kind of soul am I building when nobody is watching? When you answer those questions honestly, your life begins to organize itself. Waste falls away. Noise becomes easier to ignore. Petty drama loses its grip. The opinions of people who have no discipline, no vision, and no standards begin to mean nothing. This is where success begins. Not with strategy, not with luck, with purpose. Because a strong purpose makes you rich in the deepest sense. It gives you direction, and direction creates consistency. Consistency creates skill. Skill creates value. Value creates influence, and influence over time creates personal enrichment in every form: financial, mental, emotional, and spiritual. A person with purpose can suffer more without collapsing. They can wait longer without losing faith. They can work harder without needing applause. They can sacrifice today because they know exactly what tomorrow is for. So do not merely chase goals. Goals can change. Build a purpose strong enough to survive failure, rejection, and delay. When you know why you live, you become harder to manipulate, harder to distract, harder to destroy. Write your purpose down, refine it, memorize it, return to it every morning, because the man who knows where he is going cannot be stopped by temporary storms. Comment below, "My purpose is stronger than my pain." Your greatest enemy is not outside you. It is the untrained mind within you. Most people think their suffering is caused by events, by rude people, by bad luck, by criticism, by delay. But the Stoics saw deeper. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is one of the most powerful ideas ever written. You are not destroyed by what happens. You are destroyed by the meaning you assign to what happens. One man sees rejection and decides he is worthless. Another sees rejection and decides he needs to sharpen his approach. Same event, different interpretation, different destiny. That is why mind mastery is everything. If your thoughts command you, you will live in chains. Chains of fear, chains of impulse, chains of imagined disasters that have not even happened. The mind will whisper weakness in your ear every day. You're too late. You're not good enough. Rest today. Avoid the risk. Take the easy route. And if you obey every thought that enters your head, you will slowly become the servant of your own hesitation. The Stoic does not believe every thought. He examines it. He interrogates it. He asks, is this true? Is this useful? Does this serve my mission? Or is this just fear dressed up as logic? That pause changes everything. This is not about suppressing emotion. It is about refusing to kneel before it. You may feel anxiety. Fine, observe it. You may feel anger. Fine, study it. You may feel doubt. Fine, do not build your house inside it. Mental mastery is built through daily discipline, through silence, through journaling, through reflection, through catching your own excuses before they become habits, through refusing to let your mood dictate your standards. And here is where success and enrichment enter the picture. A person who can govern the mind can govern behavior. A person who governs behavior can create results. A person who creates results becomes valuable, and the valuable person is always in a position of power. The world rewards self-command, not noise, not panic, not emotional chaos. So master your inner dialogue. Speak to yourself like a commander, not a victim. Replace "I can't" with "I will find a way." Replace "this is too hard" with "this is training." Replace "why me" with "use it." Because once your mind stops sabotaging you, your life begins to obey you. Write this in the comments. My mind serves me. It does not rule me. One of the clearest signs of weakness in the modern world is how easily people are offended. A word wounds them. A disagreement unsettles them. A correction humiliates them. A stranger's opinion ruins their whole day. Why? Because their ego is fragile. Marcus Aurelius understood that no insult enters your soul unless you open the gate. He taught that if you choose not to feel harmed, you are not harmed. That is not denial. That is sovereignty. Being offended is often just wounded vanity. It is the ego demanding that reality treat it gently. But reality is not gentle. People are flawed. They are emotional. They project. They lash out. They misunderstand. They judge from ignorance. If your peace depends on all people being reasonable, respectful, and fair, then your peace will never last. The Stoic path is not passivity. It is power. It is the ability to hear what is said, assess whether it contains truth, and respond only if response is useful. If the criticism is valid, learn from it. If it is foolish, discard it. Either way, do not surrender your nervous system to somebody else's words. This principle matters deeply for success. Why? Because anyone trying to build anything meaningful will be judged. If you want wealth, discipline, influence, mastery, leadership, or excellence, people will talk. Some will mock your ambition. Some will resent your standards. Some will criticize you simply because your seriousness exposes their laziness. If you are easy to offend, you will be easy to stop. But when you become unoffendable, something extraordinary happens. Your energy stays with you. Your focus remains intact. You do not lose hours replaying conversations in your head. You do not waste strength defending your ego. You continue building. That is how powerful people move. They do not react to every barking voice. They stay with the mission. To practice this, begin with one rule. Not every provocation deserves a response. Ask yourself, will answering this strengthen me or drain me? Often, silence is not weakness. Silence is control. It is proof that your inner world is too disciplined to be disturbed by trivial attacks. Remember this, if somebody can offend you at will, they can control you at will. Refuse that power. Let your calm become intimidating. Let your restraint become your armor. And let small minds exhaust themselves while you continue rising. Comment, I do not give strangers control over my peace. Everything changes in a moment. A message arrives, an insult is spoken, a plan falls apart, a door closes, a problem appears. Most people live as if these moments force them to react. They believe anger is automatic, panic is automatic, retaliation is automatic. But the Stoics taught otherwise. Between the event and your reaction, there is a space, a breath, a pause, a small opening in which freedom lives. That pause is where strength is born. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to live from that pause. He did not seek emotional numbness. He sought command. He knew that a person who cannot pause is a person who cannot choose. And a person who cannot choose is a person ruled by impulse. In modern life, this principle is everything. A careless reaction can destroy a relationship. A burst of emotion can ruin a business opportunity. One impulsive message can stain your reputation. One moment of rage can undo years of discipline. Success is often not about doing more. It is about ruining less through emotional blindness. When something happens, pause. When someone provokes you, pause. When fear surges through your body, pause. Ask, what is actually happening? What part of this is real, and what part is my interpretation? What response aligns with my standards, my purpose, and the person I claim to be? That is how leaders think. That is how builders think. That is how the wealthy in spirit and in material life separate themselves from the impulsive masses. And understand this clearly. Pausing does not make you slow. It makes you dangerous in the highest sense. Because while others are leaking power through reaction, you are gathering power through precision. The disciplined pause gives you access to reason. Reason gives you access to better action. Better action creates better consequences. And better consequences, repeated across years, build a powerful life. Train this in ordinary moments, in traffic, in arguments, in delay, in inconvenience, in disappointment. Do not wait for a major crisis to discover whether you have self-control. Build it now, moment by moment, until calm becomes your default weapon. Because the one who masters the space between stimulus and response masters fate itself. Write this below. I pause. I think. I choose. Pain is not your enemy. Misused pain is. Most people spend their lives running from discomfort. They chase convenience, numbness, distraction, easy pleasure, and short-term relief. They do not want challenge. They do not want resistance. They do not want friction, yet they still want strength, confidence, wealth, influence, and self-respect. Impossible. Marcus Aurelius understood a law that weak people avoid. The obstacle is the training. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That means pain is not proof you are losing. Often it is proof you are being forged. The betrayal teaches discernment. The rejection teaches refinement. The loss teaches gratitude. The delay teaches patience. The burden teaches endurance. Pain strips illusion. It reveals your habits. It exposes your weak points. It shows you where you are undisciplined, dependent, fragile, or dishonest with yourself. And that is a gift if you are brave enough to use it. This principle is at the center of all real enrichment. Every level of success demands a price. Financial freedom demands sacrifice, patience, risk, and the ability to endure uncertainty. Physical strength demands strain. Emotional maturity demands heartbreak survived with dignity. Spiritual strength demands solitude and self-confrontation. There is no path to power that does not pass through pain. So stop asking how to avoid suffering. Ask how to convert it. When something difficult happens, do not collapse into self-pity. Stand back and ask, what is this training in me? Discipline, detachment, courage, focus, humility, responsibility? That question turns pain into instruction, and the person who can learn in the middle of suffering becomes almost impossible to defeat. Because while others are only trying to escape discomfort, you are extracting advantage from it. That is what makes Stoicism so powerful. It teaches you to become stronger because of what happened, not in spite of it. Use the setback, use the insult, use the loneliness, use the uncertainty. Let every hardship become material for your transformation. Because the pain you stop fearing becomes the power nobody can take from you. Comment below. My pain is training, not punishment. Much of human suffering does not come from reality itself. It comes from arguing with reality. People say, this shouldn't be happening. They should have treated me better. I should already be further ahead. My life should be easier by now. And in that resistance, they waste enormous energy. Marcus Aurelius practiced a different attitude. He accepted what stood before him, not because he liked every circumstance, but because he knew denial weakens action. You cannot solve what you refuse to face. You cannot master what you keep complaining about. Acceptance is not surrender. It is strategic honesty. If you lose money, accept the fact before rebuilding. If someone betrays you, accept the betrayal before drawing wiser boundaries. If your plan fails, accept the failure before creating the next move. Reality does not become softer because you resent it. It only becomes heavier. This principle is central to success because power begins with seeing clearly, not emotionally, not wishfully, clearly. The disciplined person does not ask reality to change in order to feel calm. They become calm enough to face reality as it is. And once you stop resisting facts, your energy returns. Now you can think. Now you can adapt. Now you can rebuild. Acceptance also protects you from entitlement. It reminds you that life owes you nothing, not fairness, not comfort, not a smooth path. And strangely, that realization makes you stronger, not weaker. Because once you stop expecting life to be easy, difficulty no longer shocks you. It becomes part of the process. This is how resilient people think. They do not waste themselves asking, why is this happening? They ask, what is the best move now? That question shifts you from emotional paralysis to intelligent action. And there is a deeper layer still. Acceptance allows peace. It allows you to stop being torn apart by every change, every delay, every imperfection. It teaches you that serenity is not found by controlling the world. It is found by meeting the world with steadiness. Accept what is, then act with strength. That is Stoic command. Write this in the comments. I accept reality. Then I move. Marcus Aurelius gave one of the most vivid images in all of Stoicism. He said, be like the promontory against which the waves continually break, but it stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it. That is the standard. Not fragility, not constant emotional reaction, not mood-driven living. Firmness. The world will keep throwing waves, noise, conflict, temptation, fear, public opinion, envy, provocation, uncertainty. And most people live like loose sand, constantly reshaped by forces they do not control. the Stoic becomes rock. To be unbothered does not mean you feel nothing. It means your center remains intact. You are not emotionally available to every useless disturbance. You do not let random energy enter and reorganize your day. You do not grant chaos authority over your nervous system. This matters more than ever now. Modern life is built to hijack attention. Every platform wants your outrage. Every headline wants your fear. Every insecure person wants your reaction. Why? Because where your attention goes, your power goes. And when your power is scattered, your purpose dies. The person who cannot be easily disturbed has an enormous advantage. They think better, decide better, work better, build better. They do not spend their lives recovering from emotional turbulence they never needed to absorb in the first place. This is a law of success. The more stable your inner world, the more effective your outer world becomes. So train yourself to be hard to provoke, hard to distract, hard to emotionally penetrate. Protect your mornings, guard your standards, limit your exposure to useless conflict, refuse to make every passing emotion a permanent state. And when waves hit, remind yourself, this is what waves do. This is what life does. My task is not to stop them. My task is to remain standing. That is how personal power is built, not through domination of others, but through invulnerability to the trivial. When the world sees that it cannot move you easily, it begins to treat you differently. More importantly, you begin to treat yourself differently, with respect, with trust, with certainty. Become the kind of person whose peace is expensive. The kind of person who does not break character because of noise. The kind of person who keeps moving forward while others are drowning in reactions. That is what it means to become untouchable. Comment: I remain standing while the waves break. Motivation is weak. It is emotional, temporary, unreliable. It comes when conditions are pleasant and disappears when conditions become hard. If you build your life on motivation, then your life will rise and fall with your moods. Marcus Aurelius did not rule by mood, he ruled by duty. There is a powerful line from his meditations in which he reminds himself, at dawn, to rise and do the work of a human being. Not because he felt inspired, because it was his nature and responsibility. That is discipline, doing what must be done when comfort invites you not to. Discipline is the bridge between philosophy and results. You can admire wisdom all day, but if you do not act on it consistently, it remains decoration. Discipline takes noble ideas and turns them into a body, a business, a bank account, a reputation, a life. And this is why discipline is deeply tied to personal enrichment. Wealth in any form comes from repeated intelligent effort, saving when others spend, training when others procrastinate, learning when others numb themselves, building when others complain. One disciplined action seems small. Repeated for years, it becomes greatness. The disciplined person trusts themselves. That trust is priceless. They know that when they make a promise, they keep it. When they choose a path, they walk it. When things become difficult, they do not vanish. That kind of self-respect cannot be bought, and yet it becomes the foundation for every kind of success that can. If you lack discipline, build it in small victories. Wake up when you say you will. Finish what you start. Eat with control. Speak with restraint. Keep your environment ordered. Track your time. Honor your standards when no one is there to praise you. Do not wait to feel like it. That phrase has destroyed more potential than failure ever did. Discipline is not punishment. It is liberation. It frees you from slavery to impulse. It gives structure to your ambition. It turns dreams into machinery. Weak people need perfect conditions. Strong people create momentum under imperfect conditions. So when the morning comes and your mind offers excuses, answer with action. When the day becomes hard and your emotions ask for retreat, answer with duty. Because every time you obey discipline instead of comfort, you become more powerful than yesterday. Write this below: discipline is my advantage. One of the most invisible forms of slavery is the need to be approved, to be liked, to be praised, to be noticed. to be told you are enough. And because so many people crave validation, they become easy to control. They shape their words for applause. They shape their lives for appearances. They make choices not from conviction, but from the fear of being disliked. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire and still reminded himself not to be seduced by external praise. Why? Because he understood that the crowd is unstable. Today they celebrate you. Tomorrow they ignore you. If your self-worth depends on their voice, your peace will rise and fall like a leaf in the wind. Detachment from validation is not coldness, it is maturity. It is the decision to let principles matter more than popularity, to let truth matter more than image, to let the work matter more than the applause. This principle is essential for anyone who wants real success. Why? Because meaningful ambition often requires lonely seasons, times when no one claps, times when your progress is invisible, times when discipline looks boring, not glamorous. If you need constant recognition, you will abandon the process long before it bears fruit. The strong person learns to work in silence, to improve without announcing, to build without performing, to make excellence the reward itself. And there is great enrichment in this. The person detached from validation spends less, performs less, lies less, and wastes less energy maintaining appearances. They become more focused, more authentic, more efficient. Their decisions improve because they are no longer distorted by the question, "What will people think?" Ask instead, "What is right? What is useful? What is aligned with my purpose?" That is freedom. When praise comes, accept it lightly. When criticism comes, examine it calmly. But do not hand either one the keys to your identity. You do not need everyone to understand you. You do not need everyone to agree with you. You do not need permission to become powerful. Build such a strong private standard that public opinion becomes background noise. Because the moment you stop living for approval, your real life begins. Comment below, "I do not need applause to keep building." And this truth also enriches life. When death is remembered, gratitude deepens. Ordinary moments become sacred. A conversation matters more. A sunrise matters more. The chance to work, love, improve, and serve becomes more valuable. You stop behaving like life is guaranteed and start treating it like a privilege. This is what gives a person intensity without panic, urgency without hysteria, seriousness without despair. You become focused, not because you fear death in a childish way, but because you respect life enough not to waste it. So remember, one day your name will be spoken for the last time. One day your routines will end. One day all the excuses will be silenced forever. Before that day comes, become someone you respect. Build something real. Strengthen your mind. Order your character. Use your hours well. Because the person who accepts mortality becomes fearless in action and precise in purpose. Death is coming. Let that make you honest. Let that make you brave. Let that make you move. Write this in the comments. My time is limited, so I will live with strength. This is the principle that sharpens all the others. You will die, not metaphorically, not eventually in some abstract future, literally, truly, certainly. Marcus Aurelius returned to this truth again and again, not to become morbid, but to become awake. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." That line is not dark, it is cleansing. When you remember death, false priorities begin to collapse. Petty arguments lose importance. Vanity loses its glamour. Delay becomes harder to justify. The need to impress people starts to look ridiculous. The fear of failure shrinks. Why? Because you realize time is not an endless resource. Your life is not a rehearsal. This day is part of the whole. It counts. Memento mori is a weapon against procrastination, a weapon against cowardice, a weapon against wasted years. It asks you, with brutal honesty, if your time is limited, why are you still living beneath your standards? Why are you still postponing discipline? Why are you still tolerating habits that drain your soul? Why are you giving your days to noise instead of building something worthy of your existence? Now hear this carefully. Nothing external has the power to destroy you unless you keep handing it permission. Not criticism, not rejection, not uncertainty, not delay, not loss, not the opinions of weak minds. The real battle has never been outside. It is inside. Inside your interpretations, inside your impulses, inside your undisciplined habits, inside your attachment to comfort, inside your fear of pain, inside your need to be approved. Marcus Aurelius did not become immortal through comfort. He became timeless because he understood a law that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. If you conquer yourself, the world loses much of its power over you. So forge your purpose, master your mind, refuse offense, control your reactions, use pain, accept reality, become unbothered, choose discipline, reject validation, remember death. And if you do these things long enough, seriously enough, relentlessly enough, you will become the kind of person chaos cannot easily shake, the kind of person pressure cannot easily bend, the kind of person temptation cannot easily buy, the kind of person who carries peace like armor and discipline like a blade. That is the Stoic path, not weak, not soft, not passive, sharp, calm, unbreakable. If this awakens something in you, do not leave this video unchanged. Subscribe now, because this channel is for those who are done being ruled by distractions, emotions, and weakness. And in the comments, write, "I am untouchable." Write it like a vow. And if one of these 10 principles hit you the hardest, tell me which one and why. I want to see which battle you are choosing to win. Stay disciplined, stay dangerous, stay clear. And remember, the world cannot break a person who has already conquered themselves.